the biggest current Democratic mask hypocrite, I would say, is Mayor Bowser from Washington, D.C., who managed to officiate a wedding and appear at a several hundred-person post-wedding celebration, Buck Sexton. But she was not wearing a mask in violation of her own rules and becoming the latest Democratic politician to have rules for thee, but not for rules for you, but not for thee. And there's so much chaos and hypocrisy that continues to build around the mask mandates. How was your weekend, Buck Sexton? And do you think that things can get any more insane?
Oh, it's going to get crazier, everybody. Strap in all across the country, I can assure you, because here's what you have to remember. There's an inverse relationship between clarity for rational people and insanity for the irrational people, as in we see more data, we see more reality and say, okay, things are going to calm down. They actually get more insane because they've convinced themselves that the moment they start to let up and believe some of those other numbers is when they really have to lock things down even more. Plus, if we don't do what they want us to do and everything actually happens the way we say it will, Clay, maybe they were wrong all along, which is another huge fear they have. But you asked about the weekend. I was, first off, Tiana Lowe at Washington Examiner with the hat tip on the reporting about Mayor Bowser
she did a great job with
D.C.
that.
And we're gonna dive into that in a second, just because so classic. I mean, joins that long list of all these of the governor of California, Newsom, of the mayor of
French
Chicago.
laundry ridiculousness. Lori Lightfoot flagrantly breaking her own rules.
Lori Lightfoot needed a haircut because she's important and you're not. That was what the rule was. That was actually the rule in Chicago. But I got told over the weekend in my own neighborhood in a wine store, excuse me, sir, you have to leave. You don't have a mask on. I'm sitting there. I'm saying, there's no mask mandate. Like what? Oh, now we're going to do this thing where some people in some stores expect you to have the emergency smelly mask in your back pocket. Because let's be honest, it gets sweaty and then it sits in the back pocket. You don't really use it all the time. No one's washing their masks too. These things are Petri dishes. And it's, okay, for you, I'll put on my mask. And then I'm sure the people that work in this store go out to eat or they go to another grocery store without their masks on. But we're going to keep playing this game until they've exhausted themselves with their irrationality, Clay, which might take a very long time.
Yeah, I talked about this on Friday. I landed in Las Vegas on Thursday night, 2 hours before their mask mandate went into effect at midnight on Friday. So on Sunday morning, so Saturday, Friday, my wife went down to the gym in the hotel we were staying at. We were at the Palazzo out on the Strip for people out there in Vegas. And she went to work out in the gym while we were doing our show on Friday, the morning, on Pacific time out there. And so worked out Friday. She goes back down to work out on Sunday. They have changed everything in the gym, Buck. They have an employee who is walking around the gym to ensure that people who are running on treadmills have their masks accurately up above their nose. If you are running on a treadmill and your mask falls down for any period of time at all below your nose, she was immediately telling people that they had to lift their masks back up. This is a Las Vegas hotel, right? It's not like people make typically really great, healthy decisions in Las Vegas. Probably the people that are in the gym working out in the morning in a Las Vegas hotel are probably pretty healthy, relatively speaking. She is walking around the gym telling people as they are working out, as they are running full speed on treadmills, that they have to ensure that their mask is not falling down. And by the way, it's almost impossible to run very fast with a stupid mask on your face where you can't get oxygen. There is no way that is safer. They're going to have, if they haven't already had, lawsuits from people who are trying to work out that end up passing out because they can't get enough oxygen. And that has to be statistically infinitely more dangerous than you breathing out during the post-COVID when so many people are vaccinated and so many people have already had it. All this is insanity.
Everyone's going to have the place where they have to draw the line coming up.
That's right. That's for her. That was it. She said, I'm out.
That's what we're heading for.
She just left the gym. She said, I can't do this.
That's where we're going here. For some people, I would put myself in this category, although Mrs. Travis goes to the gym a lot more than I do. The gym is going to be a line for me. Whenever I do finally get my butt into the gym, I'm not wearing a mask in the gym. People can come up to me. They can give me it's too much. For a lot of people, though, I think it's going to be schools.
Yes.
And this, you're seeing this now playing out in some states are fighting back against this. Other states are saying that they're going to go forward with this. You're going to have masked children in some schools, unmasked children in others. And this is going to terrify the mask maniacs because we'll have real data sets to look at of people the same age range in different states. And did masks do anything with regard to outbreaks and cases? Now, they'll ignore the data because they always do, but at least we'll have the data in a clear and straightforward way. But I think everyone needs, what I've been saying, Clay, up to this point is that in a few weeks, it'll be clear that this is a wave like the other waves and it'll start to go down again.
That's right.
But as we know, just because there's a wave and we see it and it happens as we say, they never learn the necessary lessons from this process playing out. The lockdowners always find a way to justify it in their heads. And what you're seeing now is a move toward COVID zero as the overall mentality. This is why the Washington Post reports on how many cases there are. And people say, well, hold on a second. What about the fact that fatalities are down over 90% from the peak?
Right.
That cities like New York have 1 or 2 people a day dying from COVID. And look, every death is a tragedy. But we got a lot more people than that literally getting shot in some of these cities. You've got people dying from heart disease in much higher numbers. There's a total disconnect from the reality. And if we saw what goes on in some of these European countries, did you see some of these protests over the weekend?
Yes.
In Germany, in France. I mean, when you have Germans with Polizei on their chest going into cafes and bludgeoning old people for not obeying state mandates, that should make the hair on the back of your neck stand up a little bit. Like, this is getting really authoritarian and scary in other countries. Never mind Australia, where they've called out the military and they're fining people $500 for being seen without a mask in public. This is absolute insanity. But the Democrats have not accepted that at all. They're actually doubling down. And I'm hearing there's a Biden speech coming this week where he's going to do just that.
Yeah, and here's the thing. You can look at the data. If we want to, England is an interesting example, right? We talked about India, where the Delta variant emerged in the first place. Almost no one in India is vaccinated. And they've actually done antibody studies that show that 2/3 of India basically got COVID. And we've talked about this a lot, Buck. The reason why I would point to England does studies, and I don't know why we haven't done these studies in the United States. It's an interesting question, and I think an indictment of our overall health leadership. But they are projecting now in England, as cases are starting to decline fairly precipitously, despite the fact that they've opened the country back up in a big way on July 19th. 92%, Buck, of people in England, according to the studies that they've done, have either been vaccinated or had COVID. So we talk a lot about herd immunity, at least we used to. If we know 92% of the people in England have either gotten the vaccine or have had COVID, I would think that our numbers in the United States can't be that much different than England. Wouldn't you think it's somewhat similar?
This is an essential conclusion. And we didn't even discuss this beforehand, but I was thinking about this all weekend, and I completely agree with where this takes us. What really should be posed to the public, and I'm basing this on your UK data you're citing, which I've also seen, is your choices actually, and they've pretended all the stuff the state, the big S state, has done, has been, we will keep you safe. Do everything we say and we will keep you safe. And really what you see is your choice is just how you're exposed to COVID and under what circumstances. You can get it you'll be exposed to COVID after being vaccinated, which might mean you have no infection, and it is very effective up to this point at preventing severe illness and death. That is what the data says so far. People are worried about it declining, but really what we've set up here is a choice between get COVID naturally or get vaccinated and maybe still get COVID, but it is a small percentage. But it's either get vaccinated or get COVID. There is not all this other stuff that you hear about as noise, because essentially everyone is going to be exposed to it some point.
That's the entire purpose of the vaccine, is to expose your body to COVID. So either you're going to get it naturally or you're going to get it artificially through the vaccine.
And that's it. And so while all this stuff about the people, this is why you have to put yourself in the mind of those who were double masking outside even when they were going bicycling with their children, Lake and Xavier and, Atticus or whatever, right? Like, I'm thinking of Brooklyn people here who are all about the most extreme measures possible. They're like in their 30s, but for them,
zero risk statistically.
It's almost zero risk. But for them, their mindset is, oh, but I could still, even though I'm vaccinated, I could still get it. And it's those evil Trump supporters. It is the low risk vaccinated who are pushing the madness. The unvaccinated right now out there are like, I've made my choice. Let it ride. It's the
and by the way, the unvaccinated may also have already had COVID too, Buck. I mean, a lot of people, like this discussion about, there's people who are refusing to get the vaccine. A lot of those people think or know that they had COVID, right? So, again, I go to that 92% because we spend a lot of time talking about what percentage of people have been vaccinated or refusing to be vaccinated, totally vaccinated, depending on the age. If you actually look at that British study, 92% of people either have had the vaccine or have had COVID. And a lot of those 92%, by the way, Buck, have had both, right? There's a lot of people out there who had COVID and also have gotten the vaccine. And all of this, as you said, is virtue signaling madness. The people who are vaccinated are the most restrictive on what they want to be done still.